Good morning and afternoon, everybody. This is SPC Will's World 2008 here with an update on today's potential severe weather and flooding. Before we get started with this video, I'd like to ask you guys to subscribe and like. To subscribe to make sure that you guys don't miss any notification from my YouTube channel, and like so you can help my channel grow and more people see these videos. So anyway, guys, let's get started. As you guys can see, the Storm Prediction Center out in Norman overnight has upgraded areas in the Mississippi Valley Basin all the way into the Tennessee Valley in the southeast into a slight risk. I was anticipating this. I hadn't felt it coming. And so the slight risk extends from Dallas all the way up to Bowling Green and Nashville areas. As the Storm Prediction Center was saying, few tornadoes, large hail, and damaging wind gusts will be the main threat. So we'll go into these individual risks. Our tornado risk, there's a 2% area all the way from Lufkin, Texas, I believe that's how you say it, Lufkin, all the way up into far southwestern West Virginia. And then this 2% risk extends up, not just a little east of Dallas, all the way into Nashville and on the tip of Bowling Green. But, sorry guys, I think I have allergies, I'm itching my eye. Anyway guys, and then our wind risk is a 15% chance just east of Dallas, all the way up into Nashville and southern Kentucky. And then that 5% risk extends from portions of Dallas, Texas, a little west of Dallas, all the way up to southwestern West Virginia. And then the hail risk, and this is the big one right here. There's a 15% significant hatched for Dallas, western Arkansas, not far from Little Rock, and portions of southeast Oklahoma. And then a 5% risk across Texas and into central Arkansas and Little Rock areas. So the Storm Prediction Center, we have a good amount of instability, 1,500 to 2,000 joules of ML Cape, which is basically mixed layer. It's like up in the atmosphere. But and the buoyancy is pretty good, and we have a boundary. Supercells, here's my concern. Supercells could pop up ahead of this line across Tennessee and Arkansas, which would be a rotating threat for some tornadoes. But once the main line gets here, it should be damaging straight line winds and embedded brief isolated tornado warnings. So that's really what we're expecting. Then it should start to weaken and dissipate after midnight as it moves through the Tennessee Valley. We already have our first severe thunderstorm watch, our first weather watch of the day, and that's a severe thunderstorm watch for portions of northern northeast Texas, including the Dallas metro area and Fort Worth, all the way into west central and southwestern Arkansas, including southeastern Oklahoma. And just barely, there's a small section of far northwestern Louisiana that's in that, but the watch box does not go into their areas. So we're looking for hail, scattered hail, and isolated very large hail events, 2.5 inches in diameter. Scattered damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and a tornado or two is possible in these areas. So thunderstorms will continue to develop and intensify, bringing hail, damaging winds, and precisely an isolated tornado across portions of southeast Oklahoma, west central and southwest Arkansas, and portions of northeast and south central Texas. So guys, now let's dive into the models of pivotal weather. We're going to use the HRRR, as this model is the most updated and the most accurate. We will use the 15Z run, as the 16Z run has not completely loaded in yet. And first we will check out the dew points in the area. We'll start off right now currently in portions of northeast Texas. The dew points are ranging in the upper 60s, and as you go back towards Mississippi, you got a 69 on the Mississippi-Louisiana border, and up in Tennessee we have 64, 62, mid-60s up in Tennessee, and it all the way into far southern Indiana have 60 dew points. Oh, sorry guys, I'm not mean to click a sounding. Ugh, I always do that. Anyway guys, let's take the model through the rest of the day. Predicted to bring in very moist and unstable atmosphere. We actually have a 67 in Columbia, Tennessee. That did not show up on the map this morning, so that means dew points are increasing, guys. It'll be very warm and unstable. So mid to upper 60s for the Tennessee Valley, and into the lower 70s across portions of Texas, Arkansas, Texas and Mississippi, and upper 60s for Arkansas and Louisiana. Then those dew points start to dissipate as that cold front starts to rush in behind, and then the dew points drop into the upper 60s across south central Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. So then now we're going to look at our total cumulative precipitation, as there could be some flooding with this. And as you guys can see, by the end of the period, models are expecting about 2 to 3 inches of rainfall across the Tennessee Valley, and closer to 1 to 2 inches across portions of the Texas Basin and the Arkansas, Mississippi River Basin areas. And then we're going to look at the simulated reflectivity. As the models have been hinting at a little bit of like a Boeing line coming from Tennessee before the main show gets here, in isolated supercells, which could spawn rotating isolated tornadoes, which could be on the more moderate side of things. And then when the main show gets here, it looks to produce some damaging wind gusts and maybe a brief isolated spin up inside the line, like a multi-vortex tornado. And then it gets on out of here. When you look at a little bit more depth, you guys can see some severe weather. These are pretty significant. And as we see in the morning, isolated supercells will get into Arkansas, and that's going to be the hail producers as well. The isolated cells can be hail producers across Arkansas and Texas and southeast Oklahoma. And then they start to congeal into a line and move through Tennessee, and bringing in behind it pretty heavy rainfall, which is going to lead to that flooding threat I showed you guys earlier on the map. So now we will look at our 0 through 3 CAPE numbers. And you guys can see it's pretty efficient across portions of the south central and southeast United States. And these storms roll through, and then they move out once the storms start to move out. Lapse rates, sorry guys, did not mean to click that. I mean lapse rates. So as you take it through, lapse rates, they are going to be okay when the storms come through, but they're not going to be significantly stuff, but they should be good enough. And then, as you guys can see, some CAPE numbers in northeast Texas could be getting on the 2,500 verge, isolated spots. And as we go into Tennessee, CAPE numbers could be in 1,500 to maybe isolated spots across 2,000 across southwest Tennessee. And then it starts to go away as the line moves in. And then most unstable, sorry guys. Most unstable we would get be these numbers. Look at Texas. They could potentially get 3,000 if everything comes together. In Tennessee, you could get 2,000 to 2,500. But I think it's going to stay more in the 1,500 range for Tennessee and 2,000 range and for the Texans that live in Texas. And then it starts to move out. And this is where surface-based instability, which should be on the higher side, which wouldn't be good for storms. Oops, guys. Okay. So as you guys can see, around 3,000 for Texas and 2,000 to 1,500 for portions of central Tennessee, and southwest Tennessee might get around 2,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. The lift, we can look at that. The lift index does not look too impressive, but it should be just significant enough to produce some stronger storms. And then we move out, and then more shear comes in around 0Z. So a sheared environment, definitely good amounts of shear. And this is our 0 for 6 kilometers coming in. Good amount of shear, too. Now the storm relative helicity looks pretty strong once the line comes through, too. Look at this, too. So, you guys can see those spots once the line comes through. See really nice spots right there. And then the storm relative velocity goes up once it moves into Tennessee. Yeah, some 4s and 5s on there. Now our supercell composite. Now this is pretty good. Numbers across Texas. But Tennessee, and I'm not even favoring my hometown, guys. Tornado around an EF. I don't know if that's going to happen, but 7.7 and a good amount of CAPE in western middle Tennessee. Now where I live, I'm going to take a sounding just because I want to make sure I'm going to be okay. And my area, it's pretty nice and moist and humid with a good amount of instability to work with. 1,500, that's what I kind of thought was going to occur. And then as these line storms move in, it's going to be more of a wind and, not so much a supercell chance. See, a very, 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 very significant number across near the Carroll County area in West Tennessee. Tornado, 9.2 on the supercell composite, 71-degree hodograph, which is pretty good. If it's a perfect 90 degrees, that's when you know it's really bad. But as we go through the afternoon, we'll see what'll settle down there. Tornado, pretty favorable environment. I've been taking some soundings, and I think I saw a 67 in Columbia, Tennessee, which wasn't even forecasted. Hold on, what is that? Back in West Tennessee. Oh, a pretty high number right there. Significant. 67 dew point. That's what I was talking about, guys. And then that gets on out of here. Wait, hold on. Let me just take a quick little look at something, okay? This can be second sounding in Williamson County. So looks pretty significant. Good amount of CAPE and the amount of 10 on the supercell scale. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. For this morning update, I'll have afternoon and evening updates as the line gets closer to Arkansas and Tennessee. So I hope you guys enjoyed this morning update. Sorry it came out so late. I'll make sure to have the evening and afternoon updates on time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for later videos, and goodbye, guys.